Hello everyone, it's me, Demetrius Villa, president and founder of the High Speed Rail America Club. You know what really grinds my gears? It's when people tell me we shouldn't be funding in railroads. No, we really need to do is put more money into automobile roads and to airlines. Right, because that's really been working so well for the past decades. I mean, you gotta hand it to us. I mean, America has been probably the greatest country ever in all of human history. I mean, we have built and have created so much that we, indisputably and arguably we are probably the greatest country on the earth. But we really do have our priorities really screwed up. And that's the reason why we exist as an organization, the High Speed Rail American Club, as we have been fighting to bring high-speed rail technology here to the United States. And sometimes you have these conversations with people who really think that we don't need to invest in high-speed rail. No, that's just something for Europe and Asia. We don't need it here in the United States. There's no such, you don't need no socialist railroads. You really need to build more roads and more for automobiles and more for airlines, right? Because those really do work. They haven't been working so well. And we're going to prove that here in this video. And I mean, think of it this way. If automobile roads, right? Can anybody name one private automobile road owned by a private company? You can't. But people can name a whole bunch of private railroad companies, albeit they're all defunct now, unless you can name probably one that's coming up now, which is Brightline, maybe Texas Central Railway. But we're talking about, old in the days, we're talking about Seaboard Airline, Pennsylvania Railroad, Union Pacific. Union Pacific still exists, and people can still name private freight railroad companies. Those still exist, and those are in fact the most profitable freight railroad companies probably in the world are U.S. freight railroad companies. So that then again, it just goes to show you that railroads do work. And in fact, we do have documentaries showing the history that modern America was basically built on the railroad. We would not have cities such as here in Miami, such as San Francisco and other places here in the United States that would not exist without the railroads. So yes, you can thank the railroads for that. And here's the thing, the railroads unfortunately have become such a low priority in America. We know for sure that roads aren't working. We know the railroads have worked because we've seen in other countries, we've seen like in Japan, which I have the pictures right behind me, that, railroads do work. They have private companies that do run them. They do make a profit. And the real estate investment that is put into these communities has been incredible. The strides that they're able to make within in cities and in countries with this has been, absolutely mind-boggling when you think of it. But, we have that set. So let's go through the facts here that people seem to not realize. Back in 2015 at around this time, the Congress passed, the House and Senate passed the transportation bill, a comprehensive surface transportation bill that had $305 billion to invest into U.S. infrastructure. $305 billion. Okay, that's a good start. I mean, we still need about $3.8 trillion by 2020, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers, in order to fix up our entire infrastructure. That's including pipes, that's including bridges, that's including tunnels, everything from air to rail to electricity, water pipes, everything there. That's all infrastructure that we need to fix up by the year 2020. We'll see right now with our new upcoming president, Donald J. Trump, to see how that happens and how that goes. But as for back in 2015, this bill would invest $305 billion. Okay, so far so good. The vast majority of it went to highways, unfortunately. Only $10.355 billion went to intercity passenger trains. So that's it, just $10.3 billion went to intercity railroads. And $12.2 billion was dedicated to just funding transit. If you put that together, you have $10 billion, $12 billion, you add that together, that's about $22 billion. That's only about 7.5% of the entire bill that was dedicated to railroads. 7.5%. That's how much a priority we're making this. Is 7.5% of the entire network of the United States to put it into railroads. Now, some people don't think that, well, if you put it this way, the railroads don't really make that much money. There's no really need to put in that much into railroads. What we really need to do is, put more into airlines. And we have been putting a lot into airlines. In fact, WikiLeaks, from some time ago, back in 2015, they disclosed that they found out that the U.S. airlines have received billions of dollars in direct funding from the federal government since 1918. And in fact, the exact amount here is $155 billion. And just for federal direct spending alone, mind you. So that's just a smidgen of everything else that they put into subsidies. And that's only from 1918 to 1988. So imagine how much they've been putting in now into the airlines in order to keep them afloat. So literally, the airlines cannot function without the government funding them with subsidies. So not only is the federal government funding highways, they're also funding the airlines. So we're putting our priorities into things that we know that doesn't work. Think of it this way. If you buy, let's say you buy a car, right? Let's just keep it simple, right? You buy a car, you expect it to work, right? Are you going to keep spending more money into a car that's going to just take away more gas, is going to spend more gas, is going to break down every so often? No, right? But unfortunately, that's what we're doing. You would rather spend money on a car that works, that actually gets you from point A to point B without slowing down, without breaking down. That's essentially an analogy for what we are doing here in the United States. We are spending more money on a car that breaks down. We can clearly see our neighbors and everybody else down the street, whether in Europe or in Asia, they're clearly investing into better things that are actually getting them from point A to point B and getting the rest of everybody from point A to point B. While we're still here, we're buying a huge, let's think of it this way, a big giant Hummer that's wasting gas and breaking down. And I can say that about Hummer because the company went bankrupt, and I'm not going to have any trademark issues with that. Nobody's going to buy a new Hummer anymore, okay? So let's put that there with the airlines. Now, the airlines only started making a profit just recently this year, according to, of course, what they have on paper from their financial disclosures, just on paper right there. You have to dig deeper to find out the real things. But they're reporting that they're having profits this year. Now, of course, that's because you have American and U.S. Airways now becoming and, merging in all these companies together to become one giant big conglomerate of a monopoly over all the U.S. air travel over here. Okay? That's not putting everything else in perspective. Now, for all those profits, are passengers really getting treated better on airlines? No, not at all. You're not really getting more for your money at all. And in fact, the only reason why they're making more of a profit is because oil prices have gone down this year. And that's basically it. Apart from that, you're still spending a record amount of money on fees, on luggage, on everything else. And you're still, you're getting a bag of peanuts thrown at you. That's how you're treated on airlines. So really, you're not getting the service that you used to get on an airline. You're getting, in fact, even worse service. And still, they're not pretty much making a profit. We can pretty much tell. So we know that about airlines. But let's go back to highways for a bit. Because you see, the thing about highways also, too, that people still think, well, we should spend more on highways and fixing them, right? I mean, it will take less time. Here's the thing about the highways. We keep expanding roads, and numerous studies have come out that when you expand roads, the only thing you're doing is just putting more traffic in there. You're just expanding traffic. In fact, you're not fixing anything. You're not helping to alleviate bottlenecks, which make up about 40% of the road congestion over here. 25% is because of traffic incidents. And traffic incidents already cost about $500 billion almost every year to the American people, is how much we have to spend on that. Now, when it comes to actual being in traffic and the congestion also too, that actually costs Americans, according to this study by INRIX, is a Seattle-based company, Center for Economics and Business Research. We spend about it costs us $124 billion of traffic congestion. Just think about that every year. $124 billion every year. That's about twice the cost, more or less, of the California High-Speed Rail Authority. That's twice the cost. If you're factoring in $60 billion, you multiply it by 2, that's about $120 billion. So just think about that. Even if we take half of that congestion, if we could take down half of that congestion and spend that money somewhere else, that would be a much better thing. Of course, you can't take money from congestion and say we're going to spend that money somewhere else. Yeah, in order to fix that so we stop spending that much money, we have to actually invest it on things that actually work. And what actually works is railroads. And we have boiled down most of the points. We're still going to do some more, and we're still going to keep doing this, about all the misconceptions that people keep thinking about railroads. We put the top 3 when it comes to, do railroads make a profit in comparison to the airlines. The reason why the airlines hate having high-speed railroads is because they know it will take a lot of business from them. Just to go back on that point, just look at what happened in Europe. Okay, most of the market share between London and Paris, upwards of 90% of it is on the high-speed railroad that they have from there, the Eurostar, that goes between London and Paris. The rest of that goes to in between airlines and cars. So 10% of that is only airlines and cars. 90% of that is strictly on the high-speed railroad. So that's incredible. That's the things to see. And you can see that all over the place also too as well. Even in the Northeast Corridor here in the United States, upwards of 74% of the market share of people going in between places like New York and DC and Boston, that's mostly through the railroad, through Amtrak. So you can see that it does work between regions. That's the thing. We're not saying to go for people to have a high-speed railroad between going cross-country. It's about connecting people within regions and connecting them between the edges of regions so people can get from region A to region B, or in between from one city in region A. That's supposedly how it's supposed to work, and that is how it works. And we have all the research for this. We are going to keep bringing out more research for this, and we are going to keep hammering the points because the truth is on our side. The facts are on our side, and that's the reason why we keep doing this and keep bringing this over. And we have been winning so far. We have Brightline going on, we have Texas Central Railway going on, we have California High-Speed Rail Authority going on, we have other companies that are going on around the United States. Amtrak is slowly starting to get its act together. We finally have a pro-infrastructure president in charge. We'll see what happens with him. And, hopefully it seems like we have a lot on our hands right now. We can do this. Okay? The thing is, we have to get the information out there. Now it's on to us. We have the whole plate set up. We have everything here that we can be able to use in order to make this happen. It's now up to us to get the information out there, to tell the American people the reality and the truth about the railroads, about our history, about how it works. The main thing is history. When we know the history, we can be able to tell the future. And that's what we have to keep bringing out. So keep sharing our videos, keep putting it out there, tell your friends about us, tell your friends about the amazing projects that are coming out. When you show them that this is actually getting built, when you can show them the trains and you can show them in other countries what people there are able to enjoy, where people are able to go 200 miles an hour from city A to city B in complete luxury and less stress and less time. Think about that. And think about that it helps out also too the transit within cities as well. Because it's not just about, getting, a high-speed train from one city to another. It's also about helping the transit within that city, helping, things such as subways and metros to be able to get a better grasp as well. So that's what we want to bring here to the United States. And hopefully we can be able to do that. Also, check out for the holiday season, we do have new t-shirts up. So we have the link right here. Have the picture also up as well. So be sure to check it out on Teespring. We have it orderable for this week. If you want to get it in time for the holidays, be sure to order it now. It's a pretty good looking shirt. We're going to have this for the holiday season. So be sure to tell your friends as well. It's a pretty good looking shirt. Designed it myself. Guarantee it. It's going to be snug. And I have one of the previous shirts that we have on. The Shinkansen shirt. And, it's still holding up pretty well after, a couple of years of use. And, Teespring has made, excellent shirts. They're excellent quality. The design goes on very well. And I make sure that these designs also, that they work and that they go on. So take a look at them. May want to grab a couple for the holiday season. Share them around. It also starts a conversation also too. Get in there. Show it in class. You don't know how many times I gotten people to look at my shirt and say, wow, that's a cool shirt. Where'd you get it? And I tell them the whole story about, high-speed rail. Of course, I condense it down. I don't want to take up all their time. I condense it down in 30 seconds or so and tell them about a project over here. But that's how you get the conversation started. And we need to keep doing that more. So keep fighting the good fight. We're on there, people. We're going to keep going fast, forward, into the future. This is Demetrius Villa for the High Speed Rail America Club. We'll see you next time.